Alright, welcome back to my Colorado Tesla channel. As you can see, got a little bit of snow, about 2 inches, maybe 3 inches, hard to tell, but I'm driving around in new snow tires, and this is the second time I've done it. The first time was much less snow, but last night we actually left here. This road was fairly clear. It was just starting to come down, and it was a very dry snow. It wasn't a wet snow, but it was my first chance to kind of get out in these snow tires, these Michelin X-Ices, and see how things go. So that curve coming out of the driveway, I took that when there was a little bit of sleet a few weeks ago before I got these tires, and actually slipped a little bit there. And really up here is where I noticed it more. So we're coming to the end of my road. And you can see it's cold today. It's 34 now. It was actually -1 when I came home last night. But enough people have been driving on the road today that this is beaten down pretty well. We're coming up on the main road, which I think was probably plowed for, well, maybe not, because I think schools were closed today. So let's see. No, this was definitely plowed. So you can see coming out of there, not much to do, right? No slippage. But last night I drove, and this road was completely covered with 2 inches of snow, fresh snow. It was cold, right? As I said, it was -1. But as I took these corners, I drove around here. Here's a little bit of snow now. And if I turn, the car isn't really slipping. Like, I feel it's gripping pretty well. And when I was driving around, went to coach last night in parking lots, and we went to the store, and then, speeding up and slowing down on major roads, I was able to control the car. There was a little bit of slippage, but it's the amount of slippage that I really would have expected in my X5 with snow tires on it, or in other cars we've had less slippage than I would have had in the Prius, and we had all-weather tires on that. And it seemed to stop pretty well overall on roads like this. So I'm coming uphill now. This road right now is a little bit of a dip and a little bit of an uphill, and then a slight downhill to this stop sign. And so as I was coming up on something like this, the tires grip well. So if I brake, the regenerative braking, I had that on. I'm just letting that brake now. It's braking without issue. Where I would see a little bit of slippage is on a turn like this. I would turn and accelerate, and I would feel the whole car slide a little bit. Not the kind of back end slippage, but really the whole car drifts slightly, which I think feels like the acceleration in one direction while I'm turning, but then the weight of the car causes it to slide slightly. Not very much, just letting off the gas a little bit gave me better traction than I had most of the cars I knew growing up, outside of the four-wheel drive ones. So I'm pretty happy with these tires at the way things are now. They don't appear to be loud. Like, I didn't notice a lot of road noise driving around here, and the ride hasn't changed very much. As I put in a post, they're slightly thinner tires. They're 245s instead of 255s, but that was kind of because of the supply chain issues. Here on this part, if I brake, tiny little bit of slippage there, slowing down from about 32 to 22. This is a very heavy car, so you have to be aware of it. The one thing I will say is that there's a couple spots where I slow down on a hill, and I'll give you an example here in a second. So I'm going to make this turn and get going. So this is a pretty good hill here, and there's a similar hill just about a mile up the road where there would be a stop sign where this marker is, right here. So you're coming down the grade, in maybe 100 yards, you're dropping, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 feet in a fairly short distance, in less than a quarter, in 100 yards. And so those places, I could definitely feel the car slipping a little bit if I was trying to brake quickly, because this is a very heavy car, and you have to be aware of that in EVs. My vote would be that I would drive this fairly conservatively, like I would have driven the Prius in bad weather, just to account for the fact that I may not slow down as quickly as I would like. But other than that, I was hoping to see more snow on the road today. This was completely white last night. This is a 40 mile an hour zone. I did it at about 33 last night, and I felt fine. I was going slow mostly because it was dark and I couldn't really tell where the sides of the road were, and so I was being very careful. And interestingly enough, autopilot or auto steer was not available at all in the snow, because this was just a curtain of white from side to side. And even somebody that's driven this road most days for the last 10 years, it's very hard to tell where the sides of the road are until you see one of these markers for the snowplows. It's really difficult to drive on this road. So the Michelin X-Ice worked really well. I would recommend them. I don't know if I think they're better or worse than the Blizzaks on my X5, but they certainly are a good tire for this car. So that's a quick look or a quick thought about what I think about those tires on the Tesla Model Y.